Today I do a quick unboxing and initial impression of the Sony a7IV. Stay tuned. Hey, what's going on everybody? It's that one camera guy back at it again with another video for you. First off, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, hope you're all doing well, and again, depending on when you see this video, Happy New Year. The a7IV came in a little early. I think some of you who were anticipating and waiting for the a7IV, there was an update on the timeline that they were going to deliver it, and so I got this yesterday, and so I'm just barely unboxing it today. I have some opinions already about the camera before I even get into the unboxing, which I'll try and share in this video. But first off, we're just going to go ahead and unbox it and take a look at it and just go through the motions. Now, this thing's a pretty big deal, I would say, because I remember the live stream Jason Vong and I did some time ago, a few years back now, when the a7III first came out, and it was such a really great camera for the price point, what it offered for the price. So here's the box. Something very interesting I'm noticing already is that it's very minimalistic in terms of its information, and they just have it at the very bottom of the box. So I really like the way they're going. I don't know if the A1 did something similar, but yeah, I'm really liking the style that they're going with on this. So let's just go ahead and open it, take things out. As usual, there's manuals in there, but that's not too important for us at the moment. What is this? Is this okay, I've never seen this before. Interesting. I was thinking maybe they sent me the wrong camera. Maybe they sent me the A1 or something. I did order this off B&H Photo as soon as it was available, like everything else. All right, so that's well, USB-A to Type-C. Looks very nice. Camera strap right here. I typically don't use these, so I'm not gonna oh, what the heck? This is very interesting. All right, there's a little plug in there. What I didn't notice this, but they're using a different kind of pouch. I don't know if it's supposed to be more environmentally friendly or something like that, and not using plastics. Maybe that's the idea. Battery. But anyway, yeah, they're using a different kind of material for the bags, which is nice. Very interesting approach. Hopefully that's not the reason why the price went up. All right, here we go. Kind of initial impressions of the camera. Okay. So here it is. Here is the a7IV in all its glory. Now there's no battery in here yet, so it feels a little lighter than normal, but it does give me the impressions of like the a7S III, which is what I'm using right now, but not exactly. It's kind of weird. It kind of gives me the vibe of the a7S III, but not really. I don't know. I like that most of the dials and ports here look to be similar to the a7S III, and they went all in with that full HDMI port there. All right. Let's see. Everything else looks good about it. I know they updated some of these dials here. They did something a little different. Let's see the little door slot here. Yeah, as far as the build already, just kind of, and again, it's weird because I'm not using the a7III, so I can't really chime in between them, but the quality of the body feels a little less substantial. That's just the impression I'm getting. It feels, it doesn't seem to match the same exact material as that I get from the a7S III, for example. So that's to be expected. All right, well, anyway, that is the unboxing, and very excited to try this camera out. I'll be using it to shoot sports, obviously, and testing it out with a variety of lenses, just to see how good it is. It says that the autofocus is very similar to the a7S III, which I've been a big fan of. I've actually just been using the a7S III to do a lot of sports shooting lately, and I've been very happy with the overall results of using that setup. So that's been my go-to. And if this camera performs in that same sense, I'm going to be pretty excited. So as far as the things that I was really excited about for this camera and what Sony did in the direction they went with, I think they kind of stuck with this whole motto that it's a jack of all trades, but not necessarily a master of one thing. But they did some really nice little features in here. They finally got that flip out screen, the articulating screen. I know it has some mixed impressions on it. I'm a little mixed too, but I'd rather have it than not have the ability to flip the screen out. It's one of those scenarios where sometimes I wish I had just the top up screen, but there's occasions where I'd rather just have it flip out and deal with a little bit of annoyance with it having to be stuck on the side if you're shooting this way. Other things as well, it now does live streaming capabilities on here. They have this ability to change the shutter speed based on the lighting frequency, I believe, which is really nice. New features for autofocusing in video to help you with that. Obviously, the updated sensor, 33 megapixels. You got the updated card slot options on here with the CF Express Type A for just one of them. You have the 10-bit 422 options now up to 4K 60p. Overall, just really great additional features that they wanted to put in here. So I wanted to go over three areas that I think the A7 IV might have fell short on, but I won't really be able to know until I actually shoot with the camera and see if it truly is a major issue for the particular camera itself. The first one is that this camera didn't really bump the electronic viewfinder on here. And if you've ever used a camera that has had a higher resolution EVF, you will know the difference. You can tell the difference. So as I was saying earlier, I've been using the A7S III, but I also use my A9, the Gen 1. And the EVF on the A9 was really good for the time. But when I go back between the A7S III EVF with about 9 million pixels versus 3, it's really jarring. And that's not the fault of the cameras, that's just a change in the generations of the cameras. But I do notice it. And I kind of wish Sony would just, across the board, hey, 9 million pixels, let's put the best EVF across the board in all the models, just so that's a consistent experience with everybody. So that was the one thing I wanted to mention. Now, I don't think it's going to be too big a problem in a lot of cases, but there are occasions where I would like a nice EVF. It just looks really good. So if you haven't used those high-end EVFs, you're not going to be really bothered by it. But if you have used a higher-end EVF, you're going to notice the difference. So I hope that doesn't become too prominent in the Sony a7 IV. I hope it's not. The next thing on the list is the burst rate on the a7 IV. I was truly hoping to see an improvement in the burst rate. We're still stuck at 10 frames per second on this camera. Now, what's cool is that I think with the CF Express Type A card, you can get an unlimited buffer if you're shooting aggressively. And there's times when I may find myself in that, not all the time, but very rarely. And it's nice to know that I can kind of shoot aggressively if I really, really needed to do that. And then I just hope that it doesn't really stifle their innovation. And what I mean by that is I got into the Sony system because they were always pushing that boundary. And I think some of you guys remember, I think the a6300 truly was a camera that said, oh wow, this camera, really serious from Sony. And that kind of really pushed me to say, okay, I'm going to jump into the ball game with Sony. But now we've been stuck at about 10 frames per second on a lot of their iterations for their full frame bodies. And we haven't seen a shift go to 12, 15, or even 20, other than their A9 model that sort of kept that particular range. So them not bumping it up, I thought they would do that because they've been releasing newer lenses with improved motors. So why not improve that in this body so their cameras can take advantage of it? Now, the vast majority of people are not really going to feel the need for 20 frames per second, for example, or even more. 10 is a really great starting point for a lot of folks, and I think it's a solid choice. And I use it on my a7S III. It's not that big of a deal for sports. However, it can be a benefit for particular peak action. If there's a header in soccer, someone's going up for the header, and you don't get that. You might miss this particular frame, and it'd be nice to have a little burst. So I'm kind of bummed on Sony didn't improve that. So let me know your thoughts about that as well. The last one on the list is the crop factor in the 4K 60p range. Now, this camera, I think the ongoing joke for the longest time was that we were hoping for 4K 60p in this camera body. And we did get it. And I'm in that situation where I'm glad we have it versus not have it in the camera body. Now, I think it's not going to be that big of a deal for a lot of folks, especially with crop factors and what have you. But I was hoping that I wouldn't have to do any workarounds using this camera. We're already going into 2022, and these cameras, they could have solved that problem. They didn't have to have a crop factor on it. But I get it that from a business standpoint, they wanted to differentiate this camera from the A7S III to some degree. But that's not, but here's the problem I'm having is that that's not what I remember Sony doing before. Sony used to be kind of on that, hey, we're just going to drop the features in here and just give it to the next camera model, and we just want them to keep excelling, moving forward, moving forward. But them not getting that full frame was kind of a bummer. And I hope it's not a trend that they're going to keep doing in the future to sort of stratify their products too much. So is it that big a deal for what I do? Not necessarily, because I mean, I'm fortunate to have the A7S III so I can match the footage. So if I need a wider end shot, I'll just be using the A7S III. And a lot of stuff when I shoot with sports, it's usually far away. So having a crop is not necessarily a bad thing anyway. So I'm okay with that. So I can work in conjunction with it. But again, it's one of those things where I didn't want to have to think about an additional thing with that crop factor. Anyway, those are some of my concerns with the camera. I'm going to explore that. It might not be a big issue when I start shooting it and using it, but let me know your thoughts down below, and let me know if you got your copy in recently and you're excited to try it out. But yeah, I'm going to see how well these dials do. I'm finally noticing the little dial that's up here. It looks really awkward, to be honest with you, and very cheap feeling. I'm just being honest. So hopefully nothing kind of happens with these dials here as far as their build quality. It doesn't feel, again, before I wrap up here, they don't feel as substantial or solid feeling as maybe the A7S III, for example, when I'm comparing it to that body. All right, that's going to do it for me in this video. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. I'll catch you in the next video.